Hello, and welcome back to Psych Waves, where we review emerging and current holistic treatments in psychiatry while learning to better understand the workings of our own minds. I'm your host, Dr. Teresa Anderson, owner and practicing psychiatrist of the Anderson Clinic in Cincinnati, Ohio, where we specialize in treatment-resistant depression, anxiety, PTSD, and concussions. So, it is that time of year. Every January, there's a collective message, especially in social media, that says, this is the year you fix everything. Exercise more. I'm going to eat better and be more productive and be more positive and heal all my trauma and become motivated again and finally clean out my closet, maybe. For someone with a healthy, flexible nervous system, those messages can feel energizing. But for someone with depression, especially treatment-resistant depression or PTSD, they often land very differently. They land as overwhelm. They land as shame. They land as a sense of personal failure before you even begin, so why even bother? Because resolutions assume something that isn't always true. That motivation, energy, and follow-through are equally available to everyone. Depression, the brain's reward system doesn't even work the same way. Effort doesn't reliably produce a feeling of payoff, and planning can just feel plain exhausting. Even small tasks can feel heavy. So when resolutions fail, people oftentimes conclude, I just must not want it badly enough. But clinically, that's rarely true. More often than not, the brain is just overwhelmed, overloaded, and overstimulated. When the brain is in that state, the most therapeutic move isn't to add more goals, it's to actually remove unnecessary demands. So let me tell you what this podcast is not going to be about. This is not an episode about setting better goals. This is not an episode about optimizing your life. This is not an episode about becoming the best new version of yourself. Instead, this is an episode of what we can let go of reasonably. Because for many people, especially those with treatment-resistant depression or chronic stress, life doesn't get better when we add more effort and do more things. It gets better when we reduce pressure, lower cognitive load, and make room for healing. And if New Year's resolutions have never worked for you in the past, there may be a very good reason for that. So this is a very different kind of framework we're looking at. Instead of asking, what should I add to my life this year? I want you to ask yourself a very different question. What can I let go of? Let me repeat that again. What can I let go of? This episode is built around a simple but very compassionate idea. We can do these things. Not must, not should, not if you were healthier you would, just these are the available options to me. You don't have to do all of them. You don't have to do any of them perfectly. Even choosing one can meaningfully reduce strain on your already overtaxed nervous system. So the first thing that we can let go of is we can let go of saying yes automatically. Many people with depression or trauma say yes by default. Yes to plans, yes to obligations, yes to favors, yes to evenings out, yes to expectations that they don't really have the time or energy to meet. Often this comes from fear of disappointing others, guilt, a belief that rest must be earned, a need to people please because you fear that your only value is in how others see you or how they perceive what you can provide them with, not your inherent worth or value. It's really important to recognize that every yes costs you something. What does it cost? It costs time. It costs energy. It costs emotional bandwidth. And it can cost recovery capacity to the point, even in some people, making you sick. When you're already depleted, these costs can compound very quickly. Letting go doesn't mean becoming selfish all of a sudden. It means becoming more accurate about what you can realistically give. A very simplified rule can help. If saying yes will significantly worsen my mental or physical health this week, I'm allowed to say no. No long explanation required, no justification needed, just I can't take that on right now. That sentence alone can reduce an enormous amount of pressure. But of course, if you tend toward the more people-pleasing variety, it can be hard to let that sentence stand on its own. So the second thing we can let go of is we can let go of over-explaining our boundaries. Many people feel the need to defend their limits. They explain, they apologize, they offer alternatives, they soften the message right up until the point where the boundary almost disappears. But boundaries don't work when they're fragile. You're allowed to say, I'm not available for that, or that doesn't work for me, or I need to protect my energy right now, and then stop talking. From a nervous system perspective, over-explaining actually increases stress. It keeps you mentally engaged long after the decision has already been made. A clear, kind boundary lets your brain settle. And if you get pushback from setting that boundary, you can rest assured knowing the other person is more inclined to have their own needs met in that moment than respecting yours. So the third thing we can let go of is trying to fix everything all at once. This one is especially important in depression. Many people approach healing like a checklist. Therapy, medication, exercise, meditation, nutrition, sleep, mindfulness, productivity, all of everything, all at the same time. Either I go full throttle with my healing or just forget it all, throw it all away. The all or nothing mindset is, in and of itself, a very traumatic mindset. And here's the thing, healing doesn't work like that. The depressed brain struggles with cognitive load, the amount of information and decision-making it has to manage at any given time. It's sort of like having too many tabs open in your computer at once. When cognitive load is too high, even helpful things become overwhelming. So instead of asking, what else should I be doing? What else should I be adding? Try asking, what is the one singular thing that matters most to me right now? Or what is the one thing I can do right now in this very moment? Not 5 things, not all the things, not a routine, just one. And repeat it. Stability first, optimization later, if at all. The fourth thing we can let go of is clutter, both mental and physical. Clutter isn't just a visual issue, it's a neurological one. Every object in your environment takes up a small amount of mental space. It acts like a loop that remains open when all your brain wants to do is close that loop. Feng Shui actually has some scientific basis, believe it or not. When depression is present, the brain has less capacity to filter stimulation, a lot like the ADHD brain. So clutter can contribute to fatigue, irritability, difficulty focusing, a constant sense of being behind, and increased mental or emotional load. Simplifying, once again, doesn't require a total overhaul. It can be small. Fewer clothes in your rotation, for instance, or fewer apps on your phone, fewer literal open tabs. I think there's even either an app or a system called The Brick for maintaining phone boundaries on social media. Fewer ongoing projects. And speaking of closets, I like to actually keep a trash bag in my closet. So when I try on something that doesn't work for me anymore, or I notice something is just not making me happy, or something I haven't worn in years is still hanging up, I put it in the bag. When the bag eventually gets filled, I take it to Goodwill or donate it to a local charity. There's no need to make a day of it and spend your Saturday cleaning out your closet only to get lost in the sentimental pile of what ifs and now having a floor you can no longer navigate. Ask me, I've done this before. Yes, I've done this before several times. Little by little, this reduces the clutter, and that's just in your closet. You can also keep a box in your kitchen and do the same thing with plates, utensils, or gadgets you no longer use on a regular basis, or even in your garage. It doesn't have to be so emotionally charged, and it most definitely doesn't have to be an all or nothing scenario. More of just I happen to be in this space here right now, and I can do this one thing in this moment right now. Even reducing one area of clutter, like a desk or one area of the kitchen counter, can create a noticeable sense of relief. And here, I'm not talking about Marie Kondoing everything. The goal isn't minimalism. The goal is ease. So the fifth thing we can let go of is decision fatigue. Decision making is expensive for the depressed brain. What to eat, what to wear, when to exercise, when to respond to messages. Each choice draws from a limited energy reserve. One of the most helpful strategies is reducing the number of decisions you have to make in a day. It sounds silly, but this can look like eating the same breakfast every single day or most days, making a casserole over the weekend and having it for dinner every single night, or planning to go out for pizza every Friday night with the fam just so you don't have to think about what are we going to eat for tonight. Wearing similar outfits or scheduling recurring routines, automating small choices like bill pay. This isn't about being boring. It's about conserving energy for the things that really, truly matter and freeing up brain space when you're already fatigued. The sixth thing that we can let go of is productivity as a measure of worth. Being a medical professional, this one runs really deep. Many people equate productivity with value. So when depression slows them down, they don't just feel tired, they feel less worthy. Let me say that again. When depression slows them down, they don't just feel tired, they feel less worthy. Productivity isn't a moral trait. Rest is not failure. We're not meant to be on 24/7. And slowness is not laziness. At times it can be energy conservation for the things that truly matter. Needing support also is not weakness. It's actually a sign of strength, maturity, and communal connection. From a psychiatric standpoint, pressure worsens depression. Self-compassion and kindness can reduce demand. All the reduced demand can improve outcomes. You don't need to earn your rest. You need rest to heal and rejuvenate. The seventh idea that we can let go of is the idea that healing follows a particular calendar. January is a particularly hard month for a lot of folks. There's an expectation that things should feel fresh or hopeful, and when they don't really, people assume something is wrong with them. But healing doesn't start on January 1st. It doesn't follow seasons. It doesn't follow timelines. It could give a crap about your timeline. Progress can happen in February. It can happen in August. It can happen on a random Tuesday. Your nervous system doesn't know what month it is, and that's okay. Healing isn't linear. It's 2 steps forward, 3 steps back, 10 steps forward, and stay there for 2 months, and 2 more steps forward and another step back. Don't compare your journey to anyone else's. They don't have the same environment, stressors, or family situation you have. One or the other of you may have a better family or financial support system in place, and that's okay. Work with what you have. Do what you can with what you have. Focus on what you can do to move yourself forward in this moment, and it starts by letting go of extraneous things that you no longer need. The eighth thing is we can focus only on what actually matters. For most people with depression or trauma, the essentials of what actually does matter really is safety, stability, sleep, connection, nourishment of your body, mind, and soul, and appropriate treatment if need be. Not perfection, not constant growth, not relentless self-improvement, because that in itself can become a disorder. If you can protect these core areas, you are doing meaningful work. Everything else is optional. How this fits in with psychiatric treatment, these things, this approach pairs especially well with treatments like ketamine, Spravato, and PRTMS, which is what our clinic offers, because these treatments increase neuroplasticity. They make the brain more flexible and more open to change, especially if you're resistant. But here's the thing, plasticity needs space. If your life is overloaded, chaotic, or constantly demanding, the brain has a harder time integrating those changes. Simplifying your life isn't giving up. It's creating the conditions where healing can actually take hold. So if New Year's resolutions haven't really worked for you in the past, that doesn't mean that you failed. It may mean you are trying to heal in a system that asks too much of you, or trying to add on tasks to a brain that was already overwhelmed and overtaxed. So instead of asking, what should I become this year? Try asking, what can I release? What can I let go of? How about pressure? How about excess obligation? How about unnecessary noise? How about harsh self-judgment? And you don't have to do everything all at once. You don't have to do this perfectly. Even a little less obligation, a little less clutter, a little less overwhelm can make a huge, meaningful difference. I really appreciate you spending time with me today on Psych Waves. And if this episode resonated, please consider sharing it with someone who might need permission to make their lives a little easier. If you found any of this information helpful, please like, subscribe, and follow us. Tell your friends. Follow our podcast Psych Waves on Apple and Spotify, or our Instagram and TikTok at Anderson Clinic Cincy with a Y. And if you happen to be in the Cincinnati area and you're looking for assistance with treatment-resistant depression, anxiety, PTSD, or concussions, please give our office a call at 513-321-1753. You can also check us out on the web at www.andersonclinic.net. Start feeling better faster and take good care of yourself. I'll see you next time.